Okay, here we go. Hello everyone, my name is Chira and welcome to Career Essentials. And today I'll be covering another career path, and the objective of this is to help you identify and understand about different career paths. And if you are just finishing school or finished college, university, or even if you're doing some research, hopefully this will help you understand about this career path. And today we're going to be discussing the career of law. And now this is a massive topic, a massive industry and a career altogether. So we're just going to break it down and talk about it. And today I'll be speaking with Rumbi.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us, Rumbi.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you very much. Fantastic. So let's get straight to it. So what is the industry of law, just in a nutshell?
Ooh, the industry of law is quite varying. You have different fields of law, and obviously that's then shaped by the different careers in there. So in terms of the general aspects of law, people would know criminal law, they would know family law, they would know the most sort of like publicized, which is personal injury law. But there's so many different aspects of law, and they're in everyday lives, basically, from commercial items, commercial issues, to buying a house. So a law is required at some point, even in media, everywhere. So it encompasses everything, basically. Yeah. Okay,
so that is the industry in a nutshell.
Yes.
And what is being a lawyer then?
Being a lawyer, it's a profession that requires a lot of integrity, standing for what is right, and being able to uphold the rule of law. So there is a lot involved in having a duty to justice and carrying out justice. So I think that's one thing people might misconstrue lawyers as being liars or dishonest, but actually in actual fact it underpins the whole point of upholding justice.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Now, I believe in being a lawyer the word law is a generic term, and in the UK how it's broken down is you've got solicitors and barristers.
Yes.
So what is a solicitor and what is a barrister?
Yes, you're right, Sharon, that lawyer is a generic term. In some states and countries, a lawyer could mean, a separate profession. But in England and the United Kingdom in general, we have differences between what are called solicitors and barristers. We used to just they were very distinct professions a long time ago, but we've now seen with time and progression, a lot more solicitors are doing a lot of the work that barristers do, and some barristers also now starting to do some work that solicitors do. But to break it down, solicitors are basically the first port of call, sort of like the first face that a person gets to approach when they have a problem. So if someone's been arrested, they would call a solicitor. They can't call a barrister firsthand. If they require a divorce or advice on buying a house, they would approach a solicitor. And the solicitor's job is basically to provide first-hand advice, do some investigations, preparing the witness statements, any paperwork that needs lodging at court. A solicitor would be able to do that for you. Whereas a barrister has a much more specialized role. Now, if a solicitor needs specific advice about a case, about how strong their client's case is, they might need to seek the advice of a barrister. So a barrister would then look at all that information and be able to give a bit more in-depth analysis of the client's prospects. But the main role of a barrister has always been advocacy. So a barrister is the one who appears on behalf of a client in court. So a client would never have met their barrister until they get into court and they meet the barrister for the first time. Right. And all that time they would have been dealing with their solicitor. So that's just basically how the roles differ. So barristers would offer that advice, that specialist advice, and then offer the extra, which is the appearing at court on behalf of a client.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
Mhm.
So basically, solicitors are more generic and sort of firm-based and sorting out. I don't know if it's right to say paperwork.
Yeah. I know most sisters will probably say, well, we do a lot more than that, and for sure they do a lot more than that. But in terms of just breaking it down, yeah, they do the groundwork. They lay out the foundation of a case, and sometimes they see it to the end until settlement without even needing a barrister. So a barrister is only for those specific points where a case has gotten to a stage where a barrister is needed, and a solicitor would then have to instruct one. So in actual fact, barristers work for solicitors, if you look at it that way.
Right.
But I did mention before how the roles are starting to merge, and you'll see there are a lot more solicitors who are now appearing in court doing the work that a barrister would normally do, and that's what we call getting rights of audience. So the solicitors can do extra training to get rights of audience.
I see.
And barristers are also doing what's called, I can't remember the word, it's a big phrase, basically public access. So basically they do a course to get direct access from, so anyone off the street can Google a barrister who offers direct access, and a barrister can actually do all the groundwork like a solicitor would have done. So then a barrister is now starting to get into that field as well.
Right.
So it's all merging.
Okay.
So it might probably end up having a generic lawyer.
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, fantastic. So what qualifications would someone need to become a solicitor? And we can then look at what qualifications does someone need to become a barrister.
So to become a solicitor, first of all, you need to do the LLB. So that's basically the first undergraduate law degree. In England, they provide that in pretty much almost all universities. So some people think you need to go to Oxford or you need to go to Cambridge. It's great if you get to go to Cambridge, but it's not the end of the world. All universities offer the same degree program, and it's the same modules, same teaching mechanism, and at the end you still have that valuable qualification of an LLB. So that's the first advice I would give, is do not worry too much about which university you attend. But if you decide at the end, or probably before you start, and really think, well, I'd rather do philosophy, or I'd rather do geography as a degree, or study English as my first degree.
Yeah.
That's also really good. You can still do that. What the legal system has done is they've also provided what's called a graduate diploma in law. So it's like an extra 1-year course you can do after doing a non-LLB degree. And you can do what's called a graduate diploma in law, GDL. And basically this puts all the core subjects into 1 year.
Right.
And at the end of finishing that course, you would have equivalent of an LLB. So you can then proceed to studying towards being a solicitor. So then after doing the GDL or the LLB, you then do what's called a legal practice course for solicitors, shortened as the LPC. It's not offered in most universities, so there's specific universities that have been paid to provide this. But mostly you can find it College of Law, BPP, Manchester Metropolitan here in Manchester. I'm not too sure other universities, but you would be able to find that information on the Law Society website or the Solicitors Regulatory Authority. So they can give you more information about which universities offer that. But once you finish the LPC, which is a 1-year course or 2 years part-time, you then have to be attached to a law firm and do what's called a training contract. Now these are quite difficult to get, but some students start applying for training contracts before they do the LPC. So sometimes you can even get the law firm to pay for your LPC, which is quite good. So something for students to think about whilst they're still doing the LLB, to start looking for training contracts so that you can get some funding for your LPC. But some people apply for the training contracts after the LPC. What a training contract is basically you do 2 years worth of training within that law firm, and you do 6-month secondments in different departments, so that you get all the experience of all the different departments a law firm would have. And at the end of that 2 years, that's when you would qualify as a solicitor, and when you can start practicing in a specific field that you would like.
I see.
That's it, really.
Right. So that's for the solicitor.
That's for the solicitor.
So to summarize, it's
LLB or a non-LLB with a GDL, and then after that an LPC, and then after that you do a training contract for 2 years, and then you become a qualified solicitor.
Right, fantastic. Yes. Okay.
You got there. Yeah.
Let's move on to barrister then. What are the steps?
Barrister steps are pretty much the same as solicitor steps up until you've done the LLB or the non-law degree with the GDL. But instead of doing an LPC, you do what's called a bar professional training course, which is shortened as BPTC. Now that's also offered in specific universities. And to find out more information about where you can get that training, you can just use either the Bar Standards Board or the if you just Google BPTC, you should be able to find providers for that. And basically, it's a 1-year course again, and you do mostly advocacy related or barrister related modules. And then after that 1 year, you do a pupillage, which is with chambers. And then after that 1 year, you become a qualified barrister.
Wow.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. It sounds simple.
Right, okay, fantastic. I hope that's helped you understand what a solicitor is and what a barrister is and the difference, and also the steps you need to take to get there if you want to be a solicitor or a barrister. So my next question is, what are the, let's say someone is aspiring to be get into this industry and pursue a career, either solicitor or barrister, what should they need to do in school for their A-levels, or what would be best to do?
In terms of what subjects?
Yes.
I don't think it really matters, I'll be honest with you. I think growing up, we used to be told if you want to be a lawyer, you need to do the arts, you know, do a lot of English. Yeah. It does help being well read, doing English literature, history, those sorts of subjects, because it just helps you, you know, get used to reading a lot more, because the career of law requires a lot of reading, a lot of analysis, a lot of critical thinking. But it's not necessary that you need to do art subjects. We do have some very intelligent solicitors out there who did, you know, physics, chemistry, and ended up doing mathematics as a degree, and they're, you know, brilliant at being solicitors and barristers. So it's not, I would suggest do the subjects that you enjoy or are good at the most to get the best result. So it's better to have sort of like 6 A's or 6 A stars in subjects that you've chosen, which give you the likelihood of either getting a scholarship and so on, because obviously the higher your grades are, the better they are in terms of the content of what actually did you do. It might also help, but it's not necessarily very important.
Yeah, okay.
I know certainly when we were growing up, I had to do English literature, geography, those sorts of subjects, history, because that's what we were told we had to do. But I would like to say it's really not that
right. Okay, that's good to know. Thanks for that, Ruby. Because if you have already done maybe your A-levels in whatever subjects that you did, and you decided or you started having an interest in pursuing a career in law, then that provides that flexibility, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've also found that people who've done a completely different subject, let's say the sciences, when it comes to dealing with a personal injury problem that or requires to show, you might know chemical combinations, or if you're dealing with a firm that deals with chemicals, because you're a solicitor who's had that background of studying sciences and chemistry, you will know what they're talking about, where the infringement is. So it helps to a very big extent having a completely different background and then coming in and doing law, because you've got something to put to the table and to contribute that way.
Wow, that's good to know. So does universities not have a specific set of subjects that you have had to have done or passed to become eligible entry?
Well, in terms of UCAS points, I think it's just the standard. I think is it 360 UCAS points or something like that. So basically, you just need, like I said, to do well in your subjects, whatever subjects you choose. So if you get your 3 A's, that's perfect. You can get into a good uni. And the entry requirements vary. It could be 280 UCAS points going up, depending by university, but they wouldn't really look at which subjects you've done. They might ask you, if you go for an interview at a university, well, you've done these subjects, why do you want to do law? And that's precisely the answer. You've got something different to bring to the table.
All right.
So, and that's what people get stumped with. Well, I've only done sciences, why would I do law? Or I've done something completely different. I've done PE, why do I want to do law? But there is actually a sports legal. You can be a sports lawyer, and that all helps, and that's what students, sort of like forget. It's all really important.
Wow, that's golden advice right there, Rumbi. So it doesn't matter what you did for your A levels or your subjects in school. Whatever you did, if they did ask you at an interview, you can always say, hey, look, I'm going to bring a different aspect of this to the table, and me knowing and understanding about this subject area will help me to in my career in law, because with law being such a wide spectrum, and whatever subjects that you did will help you in whatever niche that you're going to go into. Wow, that's very good to know. Thanks for that. And the next one is, would you say there's a type of personality that suits becoming a barrister or a solicitor, or just getting into becoming a lawyer? Would you say there's a type of personality that's...
No, there isn't. You can have the quietest, most shy person becoming a barrister or a solicitor, and they would do extremely well. Being a lawyer requires a level of intelligence, being able to look at a problem, being able to look at the issues, and being able to advise or find a solution to help your client. So you don't really have to have a specific character. I work with different characters, and you'll be surprised, it's like any other working environment. You get loads of different characters, loud characters, quiet characters, outgoing, introverts, but they all bring something to the table. And I'd like to sort of like remove the stereotype of people being argumentative and loud and that being, you should be a lawyer because you're good at arguing. Some like me are argumentative, but that doesn't necessarily, result in being a good lawyer. A good lawyer needs to know when to shut up and they need to know when they need to say something and what they need to say. So it's all about being able to just hone in your skills, whatever type of character you have, and using it to the best of your ability.
Right. Wow, that's good to know. This is what Career Essentials is all about, giving you these little tips and insights, golden nuggets about industries. And one of the things that I just learned is lawyers should need to learn when to shut up.
Yes, or else the judge will make you shut up, which is not good.
Right, that's good to know. So what would you say is, this is a question I'm asking in different careers. Social media is coming, it's creeping into our lives in all kinds of ways. And does it have an impact in your career? What role is it playing? How is social media changing your industry, or does it?
It has changed A lot. I mean, having social media has changed practice a lot. One of the ways I've noticed over the years is we start to gather out evidence from Facebook. So when people post things on Facebook or Twitter, solicitors take screenshots and they submit it as evidence. So it's ridiculous, but it's affecting even the legal sector. But in terms of practice, yeah, it's playing a very big role. But in terms of careers, it's also quite damaging sometimes. So we always say social media, you need to be careful of what you post. If you ever have the ambition of going into a career, these things have a way of coming back. Right. So you want to be sure that whatever you post on social media is something that's tasteful, that's not disrespectful or rude, if you're looking to go into specific careers. And I think this just goes across the board. I know there's some human resources departments, when they're conducting recruitment, actually do go on Facebook and Twitter, and they check what kind of person they're employing or they're interviewing, and you don't want them to see specific pictures or certain things. So I think it's just being careful with social media, and also in terms of evidence, you just need to be careful what you post, or else it comes out in court. Right. So I think in that perspective, but in terms of the work we do, it's also been helpful to educate people about certain things. So obviously, like the recent Brexit, and leaving Remain, there was a lot of social media out there about it. But because if you studied EU law, you realize there is a lot of misconceptions about the EU. But as EU law students, it's actually your job. Even though you don't practice EU law, but it's part of our job as people who've been educated in that area to try and provide, good information, reliable information for people to be able to use and read upon. So it helps spreading the message about law, about the profession. So it's been really helpful, and at times it can also be the downfall of many. Right. Yeah, but so far so good.
So generally, to summarize, lawyers are using social media to obtain evidence and gather evidence, and the generic advice that you give is be careful of what you post on social media, because that can be either good or bad, can work for or against you. And the other thing is it gives them the law practitioners an opportunity, a platform to get the right information out there, because you're the kind of people who would know what the law is actually, what's written out there, and social media gives an opportunity for individuals like yourself to get the right message across.
And one thing I wanted to add, which really helps on CV, so if you're someone who's looking into a career in law, some things that some students do is create blogs about their journey to doing law, or any specific subject of law they're interested in, and that brings something to talk about in an interview, even a university interview or a job interview, about a blog that you're doing. So it's something that you can look into, and I found it really helps. It's a good talking point. It just sets you apart from the next person.
Exactly. It's one of those things. I think social media provides you a wonderful opportunity of getting that online portfolio and getting that message across your journey, why you're doing it, and how passionate you're about your career or what you want to become, and just use it to your benefit, isn't it?
Exactly. That's right. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. What would you say is the future of being a lawyer? I know you mentioned that there's quite a lot of merging going on with barristers and solicitors, and what role they play, and how they carry on with their roles. But other than that, where do you see the future? What is the future?
The future at the moment, and this is quite a good question, because there is a lot going on in terms of changes with the legal environment, especially in the UK. But one thing I will say, law's been there for centuries and thousands of years, and it's something that for people to carry on living the way they do, they need rules and laws to abide by. So with everything we do, we will always need the law. So I think it's always a profession that will always be there. But in terms of how it evolves, it's evolved quite a lot over the years. And at the moment, it's a little bit uncertain because there are a lot of changes with legal aid and, you know, how barristers and solicitors are paid. So the profession itself is obviously at a difficult time. But with time, you know, it will all become clearer, hopefully, and it might still be a thriving profession, but, you know, who knows? Just watch the space, that's all I can say.
Right, so because I mean it's a lot. It's an industry that will always be there. It has been there for centuries. So that's good to know, and it will grow and expand because you know, there's people. The population will only increase, and there seems to be a lot of. It's quite dynamic and volatile. It can get volatile, I suppose, as we evolve. And we'll see how things fall into place. But it's good to know that it's an industry that's always been there for centuries and it will be there, and it will continue to grow there. So there is scope. That's good to know.
There is.
Right. Final question, Rumbi. We're nearly there. What is the best part of being a lawyer, or in your case a barrister? What is the best part? What gives you that sense of fulfillment, that job satisfaction? What is it?
I mean, it is a satisfying job. When you do it, no matter what field of law you work in, when you're helping a client with a specific case and you get to the end and you've settled something for them or you've got them the best outcome, it gives you that sense of pride that you've done your job and you've done it well. You know, you become really passionate about your job, and that's one of the things I like about law.